Coming up tonight on Business Live, Ghanaian banks exhibiting poor financial soundness indicators compared to its peers. That's a view from UK-based Fitch Solutions. Also in this bulletin, World Bank warns of reallocating unutilized funds meant for projects in Ghana to other countries by June 2024.
Our new president has taken a very strong line. Money that are not spent will be clawed back. For instance, there's a project that is closing in June, the e-Transform project.
Yeah.
If we don't take the money and use for other things, June will come, the money will go back to Washington.
Plus, bank treasurers expect recent pressure on Cedi to ease further in coming days as demand for foreign currencies ease. We have details of these and many others coming your way all in a moment. Please stay. Thanks so much for your time. I am Pius Kojo Baka. We can now settle for our details, and UK-based Fitch Solutions is warning that Ghanaian banks are exhibiting poor financial soundness indicators compared to its peers. Now, in its latest article on Ghana, it said Ghanaian banks have considerably worse loan quality, weaker capital buffers, and a much lower loan to deposit ratio. We've got more for you in this report.
That being said, Fitch Solutions said banks are continuing to report strong profits on the back of high net interest income. Compared to the largest sub-Saharan Africa sectors, Ghana's capital buffers are weak and will deteriorate further compared to its peers for two main reasons. First, it stated that markets such as Cote d'Ivoire and Nigeria will see an improvement in their capital adequacy ratio in the coming quarters as a result of improving economic conditions. Second, it pointed out that whilst it expects some banking sectors in the region, such as South Africa and Kenya, to experience falling capital levels, these will be less pronounced than Ghana's capital deterioration. Despite this, the UK-based firm said it anticipates that banks will significantly bolster capital levels in 2024. Meanwhile, it also expects loan quality to deteriorate further in the coming months, although banks will try to improve their loan books.
More within the sector, and a senior finance lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Benjamin Amoa, is urging banks to be mindful of the sectors they lend to. According to the Bank of Ghana, banks wrote off 3.19 billion cedis as bad debt as of October 2023. Speaking earlier on the marketplace, Dr. Amoa said banks must put mechanisms in place to help recover loans.
So have to be a bit careful about which sectors of the economy they are to. Again, the banks will have to have, put in place robust recovery systems. The banks themselves will also have to do a self-assessment to know what is contributing to some of these, increases in non-performing loans. We should also not forget that a macroeconomic assessment will help the banks to really appreciate what is happening within the economy to guide future credit facilities. Of course, it is worrying to be seeing this amount of non-performing loans, but we have to be careful to say that these provisions are based on the International Financial Reporting Standard. It is possible that through recovery and future recovery, some of these loans will be paid. But as we speak now, this is what the books are telling us. It doesn't look good because if there has been an increase from last year to this year, then it means that things have not been well. Hence, we are seeing these numbers. But banks must still work hard and make sure that what they give out as loans, they try to get as much as they can from the loan facilities. And I believe that the banks, being the real players in the industry, have a fair idea of which sectors of the economy, including retail and wholesale, or like we call corporate, clients may be contributing to these loan books or problem loans that we are seeing. Having done that, with the details of the loan portfolio, the banks will then have to reposition themselves as to which areas or which sectors in their loan portfolios they can manage.
Still in the banking industry, some bank treasurers say they expect the recent pressure on the Ghana cedi to ease in the coming days. This is because demand for foreign exchange is easing. Here's more.
Some of these bank treasurers have told Joy Business the pressure on the Ghana cedi from the previous month were influenced by the demand for forex by businesses to finance import. Therefore, they're expecting the situation to improve significantly when it comes to the local currencies fortunes going forward. The Bank of Ghana this week also increased its support for the market in terms of dollar support. Meanwhile, some have also maintained that the cocoa syndication loan before the end of this year may also contribute to the Ghana Cedi stability. Joy Business understands that $600 million will come in as the first one. The remaining $200 million will hit the Bank of Ghana's account next month.
So is this marginal stability sustainable, and how will the expected cocoa loan syndication inflow impact on the cedi's fortunes going forward? We've got to explore that angle. Let's get on Zoom and speak with currency analyst, who is also a research lead for GCB Capital, Courage Buti. Courage, thanks so much for joining me on Business Live, and a Merry Christmas to you in advance. First off, what do you make of the cedi's performance over the past week?
Well, good afternoon, good evening to your listeners. Merry Christmas to everyone. It's been up and down over the last 1 month or so, particularly when we're entering December. In fact, the pressure started from all the way start of the quarter, actually, but we saw at least in the last few weeks after the CRR decision that there was a bit of relative stability on the market. As we speak, with news of the cocoa loan signed and expected disbursement, I believe by today or hopefully already, you could see that the market is responding accordingly. We've seen rate on the retail market now doing about 12.1, 12.15 thereabouts, and are inching down from 12.3 prior to the announcement that Cocoa Board has signed a loan. So I guess it's filtering through the market well. Those levels are relatively stable, and compared to where we ended last year and all of that, it is not much depreciation on the retail market side of things, really. So not bad after all. It's been a good year for the cedi, at least, given the weak fundamentals we had and the worst fears we all had at the start of the year.
So what more is driving the performance you are seeing aside the cocoa syndication indication we are learning that will likely to hit the Bank of Ghana's account by close of work today?
Obviously, reserves are weak, but then I think the general sentiment had been that post-DD, the activities we saw on the portfolio repatriation side of things most of last year and in January this year hasn't happened that much. And it looks like sentiments are generally, well, you wouldn't say very stable and you wouldn't say very uncertain too. So things are in that fine balance. And domestic debt has happened, really, and there are no opportunities to even sell and exit the market. And so people were just stuck with where they were. Bank of Ghana also stepped in on the market through their regular liquidity interventions. We've seen 20 million at some point. We've seen 10 million and various amounts being injected into the system on a weekly basis and through the forward auctions, which were supporting the exchange rate to some extent. We also seen macro recovery in the macros. The fiscal side of things have tightened. Monetary policy has mopped up excess liquidity from the system. And so those liquidities that would have found their ways into speculative currency purchases and all of that seem to be somehow mopped up at the central bank level. And so we've had the system more or less balanced to a level. And that's why I think that we haven't seen a lot of depreciation as we've seen in periods past. And I think the major thing this year, so far this year, has been that we suspended external debt service. And so all of those monies which would have flowed out as debt service are now stuck in our current account. So we having, contrary to what has been the trend in times past, a surplus current account position over $1 billion at that, and that is supporting the overall balance of payment and then, of course, our external position. These are the reasons. And so once we start external debt service, you would see a bit more pressure on that front of things. And that is where we may begin to see some movement in the currency, maybe slightly sharper movement than we have seen so far this year.
And Courage, would you say that we could have some spillover effect on other sectors of the economy, well, such as inflation?
Well, not necessarily. Inflation is still a risk. It could come from all angles if exchange rates fair. I mean, the kind of depreciation I'm talking about, if we start debt service, is not very sharp like the 2022 levels and stuff like that. So far this year, we ended last year just around the current levels we have for exchange rates. So the year-to-date depreciation on the retail market, depending on what rate you are looking at, may not exceed 5%. It is on the interbank market that is about 26, 27% thereabout, really. And so when I say a bit more depreciation, you are talking of things in the 8%, 9% region or under 10% broadly, which is not very alarming, right? But then that doesn't rule out the fact that there are risks to inflation from the external shock side of things, from exchange rate, from petroleum prices, and from even domestic supply shocks. It will come from all angles. We are entering an election year. Government expenditure need to be curtailed, and particularly in an election year, and with the help of the IMF budget, IMF program, we should have things a bit tighter. But if things slip, like we saw in 2016, even when we were under program, then it could have inflation consequences as well. So there are risks to the inflation outlook, but not very pronounced from the currency side, unless there is a shock coming that we are not yet aware of.
Very well. Thank you very much, Courage Buti, for your time here on Business Live, speaking to us there. Now, let's stay a while longer in the industry, because the World Bank is warning that funds allocated to some projects in Ghana that have not been utilized could be reallocated to other countries. The move is part of the World Bank's new policy to ensure that all funds approved by its board for various initiatives across the globe are utilized. Pierre Laporte is the outgoing country director of the World Bank.
The plus side, Ghana has consistently, at least since the time I've been here, we have a target every year that we aim to disburse at least 20% of the volume of a project that's been approved, right? 20%. So for every $1 billion that you have, you should be disbursing 100 million a year. And Ghana has consistently done what it has to do, disburse over 20%. But having said that, that's a minimum.
Yeah.
Countries should do more to disburse, and Ghana can do more, should do more, because also forward, our new president has taken a very strong line. You know, money that are not spent will be clawed back. For instance, there's a project that is closing in June, the e-Transform project.
Yeah.
If we don't take the money and use for other things, June will come, the money will go back to Washington.
That is for Ghana.
Will lose it. Yes.
Have been able to draw down. What was the project total amount fund for this project? How much been able to draw?
I believe was about 170 million. There was an initial 60, and then we approved 120, maybe about 170 to 180 million. And then we approved another project, the Ghana Digital Transformation Project. But this project, because it's closing in June, because normally our projects last 4 to 5 years.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get extension, another year, another 2 years. But again, our management doesn't like this anymore. You know, projects cannot last for 10 years. So this project will close in June. But we've agreed, we've discussed with the Ministry of Communication, we've discussed with the Ministry of Finance, and we've reached agreement because we can see that the money probably won't be able to be spent. We won't take the risk and wait till June so Ghana loses the money. So we've taken it and put it back in some other activity.
Pierre Laporte is the outgoing World Bank country director. And that's it for the first segment. We are pausing for a breather. We'll be right back with more. Hello, welcome back to Business Live, and let's talk African Festival. Well, the African Festival is a sustainable development project that will harness the power of over 50,000 continental Africans and the diasporas to champion the Be the Change Africa Needs campaign through arts, culture, and tourism. It is a social and behavioral change project. Now, the event, which comes off this month, celebrates Sajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, W.B. Du Bois, and Haile Selassie, among other iconic freedom fighters, by including their characters in the second coming of Nkrumah play. Now, there will be also a celebration of African tourism and culture through exhibitions of miniature tourist sites across the continent. Well, joining me in studio is playwright and founder of African Festival, Lateef Abubakar, to speak to me more about that. Lateef, thanks so much for joining me in studio. First off, even before we go to the objective of the festival or this play, tell me the reason behind the second coming of Nkrumah.
Okay, so pretty simple. The second coming of Nkrumah, it's a project or a stage play, but focus on promoting a social and behavioral change among us, reorienting our minds with regards to what Africa needs to succeed one way or the other. And it's a play that's first of its kind that brings together all the founding fathers of Africa on one stage, basically, and it's never happened. So you see people like Haile Selassie, Patrice Lumumba, Jomo Kenyatta, Nkrumah himself, Nelson Mandela, all playing roles in this particular play. Just so with a theme focused on three things: self-esteem, self-reliance, and then selflessness.
Great.
That is the focus of the second coming of Nkrumah stage play.
Great. And tell me about the objective of this play.
Basically, like I said, is to reorient people, is to entertain people, and it's also to promote tell the African story and promote our cultural music and dance to the world. So it's a global, we call it the African biggest theatrical venture, basically because of the characters involved and also because of the nature of the story and how it will project Ghana and Africa to the globe. It's a play that seeks not to be staged only in Ghana, but basically across the globe. Ghana, or Accra, is privileged to host such a play for the first time, which will be on the 28th, 29th, and 30th at the conference center. And then the world begins to see it. Definitely, we are traveling across the globe to showcase or to tell the African story.
Accra International Conference Center you mentioned.
Yeah.
What time is it showing?
So with the play, we have 2 shows a day. That is on the 29th and 30th. The 28th, which is the first day, has just the 8 p.m. show. It's a Thursday. And then the Friday has 4 p.m. and then 8 p.m. The Saturday also has a 4 p.m. show and an 8 p.m. show. So 3 days, 4 p.m.
Of course, this is certainly not for free, so tell me more about it.
Of course, we have a ticket that runs at 150 Ghana cedis, and then we have a VIP ticket for 250 Ghana cedis. The second coming of Nkrumah is part of the bigger umbrella, which is the African Festival. So at the conference center, you are not just going to experience the play, but even before and after watching the play, there are a lot of activities happening at the conference center. It includes stepping into the den of history, where people would have a feel of Africa under one umbrella, which is called a den of history. Also, there's an opportunity for people who have not seen camels to experience camel riding on the desert. Yes, so we have a desert setup with camels on there that people could ride, and it will take you to the Pyramid of Giza. Something people just see in terms of on TV and pictures. I mean, we want to tell the story. We've created a miniature of the Pyramid of Giza, which is like 14 feet tall, 14 feet wide, for people to experience the story behind it. There are other installations at the festival ground, like the Nelson Mandela Capture Site, the Afro Heritage Palace, and so on and so forth for people to experience.
Where can we get the tickets to buy?
Joy FM, Kuala, Airport Shell, Bachona Total. But specifically, I mean, you can buy tickets at the comfort of your home by dialing star 711 star 10 hash. Star 711 star 10 hash. All right. You can buy tickets at the comfort of your home.
Great. Thank you so much, Lateef Abubakar, for your time once again.
You're welcome, my brother.
All right, so let's continue with the rest of our stories before we part company. Some stakeholders in the agri sector have reiterated calls for more investments in training and capacity building of the youth. Associate Professor of Agribusiness Management at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, James Osei-Mensah, joined the calls after witnessing the 2023 Agritech Challenge Classic. According to him, there is a new generation of young people willing to change the agricultural space.
Challenge Classic is a program that involves training and capacity building workshops, market research tours to meet with industry actors, entrepreneurship coaching, as well as mentoring from faculty advisors and technical teams. The Agritech teams received constructive feedback from a panel of experts referred to as ideation team members who helped shape their ideas. Speaking on the sidelines of the final pitch event, Associate Professor of Agribusiness Management at Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, James Osei-Mensah, lauded the initiative and called for more programs to build the capacity of startups in the agri sector.
Once it is difficult to motivate the average young person to enter into agri because the average youth now wants quick fix, want everything fast, but agri deserves time. It needs time. You need to have patience. Interestingly, I have seen over the past 5 years a new generation from young people who are ready to cause change in the agricultural space. So, whilst it is difficult to get the average person to venture into agri, there is a new problem coming up. They are ready to cause changes in the agricultural space by investing their intellect, by investing their time, and by being patient and giving their businesses the time to grow. That is motivating. At the macro level, are we formulating and implementing the needed policies to boost these young and nurture these startups? Yes, some things are being done, but I think we can do more as a country.
KIC and MasterCard announced winners of the 2023 Agritech Challenge Classic Finals at a pitch event. A total of 50 teams across 10 regions of the country participated in this year's pitch competition. Here are some of the winners sharing the excitement.
My name is Nadat Hamid Mohammed, and I'm here with my team, Team Tech Cycle. So we convert pineapple waste, most especially the rotten ones, into natural and biodegradable detergents for household uses and laundry uses. We will just do our best, and then, but we are hoping to win the $50,000 as well. We are not playing.
Ghana imports a lot of protein in Ghana, and then if we have young entrepreneurs who can come into this farm rabbit, who are known to be very prolific, then I think there's a chance for us to help Ghana reduce the importation so that we can bring more rabbit meat on board, which is the highest you can ever get on the market. So that's a lot of work in place so that we win the ultimate as a team, as we've been able to qualify for the pro.
The 10 participating universities include University of Ghana, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, University of Cape Coast, Bolgatanga Technical University, Takoradi Technical University, Technical University, University of Development Studies, SD Dombo University of Business and Development Studies, and University of Energy and Natural Resource.
Thanks so much for watching Business Live with me, Pius Kojo-Baka. For more stories, do log on to myjoyonline.com/business. Do enjoy the rest of our programs. Bye-bye.